Hey everyone, and welcome back to Revisited. Weird opening, I know. Just wanted to give everyone one last video of the year and also another addition to this playlist because I really enjoyed doing the last one. If you haven't already, go check out the Iron Man video. It'll be somewhere on top of here. So I figured that for this time around, we'd go back to my first special review that almost wasn't my first special review, and then became it again under the right circumstances. Go watch the commentary track for more information. So, Destroy All Humans. This was definitely a passion project to work on, and it was an added bonus that I got one of my major influences to appear for a small role. Even the views did better than I thought they would, getting almost 200 views within the first couple days. Even though I hold that video in such high regard, part of me always felt it was somewhat incomplete. Mostly because I wanted to have a quick glance at the Nintendo Switch version, but now we have an opportunity to do just that. As a bonus, we're looking at not only the Switch port, but also the game for the original Xbox. Besides going over the main talking points, I'm going to try and point out what makes each release unique compared to its PS2 and modern console counterparts. The keyword is try. Let's get into some cliff notes before we get into the unique aspects of each port. First of which being the story is still hilariously entertaining. The general setup is fun, and I still really like the cast of characters, especially our main two leads. Gotta give it up to the writing again, because they managed to keep me invested while making me burst out laughing as well. It may not be a masterpiece in any way, but I can still enjoy some B-movie schlock now and then. Gameplay is still good. The ground combat is still as fun as ever, but I think the biggest points of contention for me this time is the saucer and PK. Our UFO just keeps feeling more sluggish to me, and the lack of defensive options is also a sour note too. PK is something that works for objectives, but not something to really mess around with. Also can't get enough of the ghostly holobot, but having to scan thoughts so often to stay disguised is just a bit irritating. Do I just hate the concentration meter? What is going on with me today? I will admit it was kinda off-putting using the right trigger to fire on the Xbox version, but I could still use it. Why X is the weapon switch is something I can't answer and is garbage. Graphics are still good for the era, but playing this on a Series X makes it look so clean. I was expecting the frame rate to be bumped up a bit, but this is more than serviceable. Just for some other stuff to note, I still don't care about the side activities. Collectibles or whatever, and still having to collect a certain amount of DNA to progress is just ridiculous. I don't know if this is exclusive to the Xbox version or just my bad playing skills, but the enemies were super aggressive this time. I noticed I was in low health a lot here and even died. It's probably nothing, but something I just kinda noticed. So just wrapping up the original, it's still good and worth playing to anybody who grew up in the PS2 era. From the story to the gameplay, it still has merit for anybody who wants to get into the franchise, and it holds up on whatever system you own. So whether you want to dust off your PlayStation or find your OG Xbox, give it a shot. Just don't buy them digitally for their intended price because it's way too much. Wait for a sale. As far as differences between this and the PS2 version, there isn't really anything substantial. Although I will admit it's weird hearing Pox say thumbsticks instead of referring to them as analog.
You may look and aim by physically manipulating the right thumbstick. You can move about the area using the left thumbstick.
So now onto the Switch release, and this is something I was really excited to get into. Announced in April 2022, this seemed like something that wasn't in the pipeline for Black Forest Games. They were very certain before release that this wasn't appearing on the Nintendo platform, so it was a nice surprise to see this get a port eventually. Look, all I'm saying is that they released it for Stadia, and you can't get much worse than that. This version was released in June of that year, and I wouldn't get to play it until I got my Switch Lite earlier this summer. Now that I'm able to record footage for this console again, I can now close the book on this game. Just getting into some cliff notes, the improved gameplay is still perfection. Everything just feels natural, and I've actually gotten more used to this than the original. I know, ludicrous, but I can't help it, it's too good. Don't get me wrong, the original is still perfectly playable, but since I've been playing the remake more and after playing Reprobed on PS5, I've just grown more accustomed to it. The replayability is still on point with the bonus objectives and the level select. Plus those alternate costumes are pretty great and the extra challenges and collectibles are mindless at best. Now to get into specifics for the Switch port. Like other games on this console, you can take it wherever you please. Being able to disintegrate humans in public, on transit, or even the restroom, don't lie, you've done it before, is really cool. Like I mentioned before, I played this on my Switch Lite and I had just as much fun away from the house as I did inside it.
That came out wrong. Or did it?
The skin pack is included on the cartridge, which is great so you don't have to buy it separately from the eShop, and I can use the BFG outfit to my heart's content. Visually it's a step down, but that's expected given that the Switch isn't as powerful as the other platforms. Textures pop in frequently and the models are almost Arkham Asylum-like clay models. The frame rate is also cut in half, with it mostly staying at 30 FPS, but it can dip here and there. It kinda takes me back to when the PS4 version launched and it wasn't at 60 frames per second. Only other thing to really mention is that this version is more prone to bugs and other oddities. The physics here are just out of whack and it makes things like using PK kind of irritating. Trying to be precise with it isn't worth the hassle, which is such a shame because this is one of my favorite methods of taking down enemies and civilians. When it comes to glitches, just check this one out. I have to escort Miss Rockwell back to the saucer, and while on the way there, she decides to stop in her place and not go any further. I was standing around not knowing what to do, but in order to fix it, I had to blow my cover and reset the last checkpoint. I strongly encourage you to download the patch before you start playing, because in addition to those, stuff like this can happen.
Orthobox to Cryptosporidium 137. Come in, Cryptosporidium.
Crypto here. How's the view from the safety of the mothership?
That face is more fitting after the cow craps everywhere. In short, this is not a bad way to play the game. For the Switch owners looking for something different from your Marios and your Zeldas, this is a good time to waste a few hours on. It isn't a perfect port, so I would recommend getting this for a discounted price. For everyone else, I would just stick to getting this on PS4 or Xbox One. Graphics wise, it looks really great, and you have the silky smooth frame rate to boot. Okay, now to let you know what I thought of the games this time around. I had a good time coming back to Destroy All Humans. The gameplay is still good, the story is entertaining as ever, and it was interesting seeing what each port had to offer. The original Xbox version is about what I expected, and as for the Switch, it was a lot better than I thought it would be. Visually and performance-wise, I knew it wasn't going to be the best, but what is there is still perfectly playable. For the original, you could choose between either version, but like I said before with the remake, just play it on the Xbox or PlayStation. I'm in the mood to play this soon, so maybe I'll look at it for the LP channel. This is worth playing at some point for whatever you play this on. 2 videos in the same playlist, and I want to play them immediately afterwards. So I know some people are probably wondering, are you ever going to get to the sequel? Well, it's definitely in the cards, but I can't say that'll be anytime soon. I want to get to it, believe me I do, but there are other things I want to cover first. So next time we're going over a DC game, and of course it's going to be Batman. I have a couple ideas on what to do, but I'll give you a hint. They aren't the main versions you're thinking of. But until then, I will see you all next time. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.